Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal Summer Series podcast. So, tonight I'm welcoming my two friends to the show. Smile, boys.
I'm
Guess who's
smiling.
in
Born
control?
smiling.
This is
Right, I'm in charge tonight, which is weird because both of these lovely young gentlemen are from the Guns and Yellow Ribbon podcast. So, first up, let me mention the host below me, young Fergus, who I found out is younger than me.
You don't look
Listen, listen, just because you have to bring some youth onto the podcast. It just needs, especially when you got that fellow over, there, that guy, who was, I think he saw Herbert Chapman's debut.
Leave him alone. All right. So for people that don't know, and for people on audio, these two are like, what sort of comedy act can I call you to? I'm going to think about it. But let me welcome my favourite.
Big T calls us Laurel and Hardy.
Yes. Laurel and Hardy, perfect for you two. I want to welcome Hillsy to the show. Our lovely Trev.
Hello, Princess. How are you, sweetheart?
I love it when you do that. Hello, Princess. You well, Trev? I hear you were 21 again yesterday.
Yeah, 21 yesterday. Had a bit of a quiet day. Really, just went out for a meal with the missus and had a few beers. Lovely. That was enough for me yesterday because at 21 I'm getting on a bit now, and I can't push the boat out too far these days.
Do you not think though, as you get older, you get younger? I feel like that.
In here, my missus reckons that in my head I'm still about 7 or 8, which I think is a bit too far, really. I think probably more like 13 or 14. But she is. You don't realise you're getting old between the years. It's when you try and do things that you suffer a bit.
Trev, did you push the boat out? Did you go do more than 2 pints?
No, never.
Okay.
You're so funny. You two, listen. Hello. I'm in charge. You're not on your podcast tonight. You're not at your away games. I'm in charge. So shh. So I'd like to welcome everybody that's in the chat room. I will allow you to ask them questions later. You can ask us anything you want, Arsenal-wise. I'll be saving them all for later. But these two run a podcast. So let's just quickly, Fergus, tell us how you started it, how it's doing, and if you enjoy it, and where everyone can find you.
Well, you can find us on all platforms: YouTube, Guns and Yellow Ribbons, and all the audio platforms and everything else. It is a bit daunting, Nigel, having Princess in charge, I must admit, and for me especially, because I'm normally controlling all the screens and all the buttons. How did it start? It started with a friend of mine, Michael Gongalves, who ran a blog over in America. He's a big Benfica and Arsenal fan. Foreign overseas fans sometimes have many clubs as that they support. But we started off doing audio back in November 2017 and moved into, we got Trevor onto the audio, and that was it. That's when he broke his podcasting duck. And then quite soon after that, because we went onto YouTube and we started doing some video bits and pieces. We've got about just shy of 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's not a big thing. It never has been, and Trevor will confirm as well. We do it because we sit here and we like doing what we're doing right now, is talking about Arsenal with our friends. Yeah. Generally have a beer or even a cup of coffee. It doesn't matter. We just sit there and we talk Arsenal, and we just enjoy it. We get our regulars like you do in the chat. And it's just a good community. The whole podcasting community is a good community. Not about getting famous, not about getting, millions of pounds of clicks.
I will stop you there. Not everybody is genuine, but you two are extremely genuine. And your podcast is fabulous because it is by fans, for the fans, which is like us. We're not massive either. And we just do it because we enjoy it. And like you, Fergus, there are some people on social media that want to make this their living, and that's up to them. I've got no issues with it if that's what they want to do. However, I do enjoy listening to certain podcasts. I don't watch many. I love the banter between you two, which is why I'm in charge tonight and I've got to hold it. But I would also like to say that I really love genuine Gooners who support the club, come what may. And you two are exactly that, like that. Any away game I've ever been to, and I don't get to many, I see you, Fergus. I see you, don't I? I bump into you. I bumped into you
Recently, yes.
at the Etihad. Then I bumped into you at West Ham, and we're going to get into your away games because this is something that I want to go into. But you two are like not to give you big heads, but I enjoy you as Gooners because you're not rash, you're not mental. You see it what it is. You can have a chat. We may disagree. The thing is, me and Hillsy generally agree on most things. I have to say our tweets are very. I haven't really seen us disagree. That's not. I'm not saying it's a brilliant thing, but I like conversing on social media with people that can have conversations. And if I'm wrong, I will always hold my hand up. The one thing I was majorly wrong about was Nacho Monreal. I didn't rate him at all. Absolutely didn't. And he turned out to be an okay player for us. So I held my hands up and said it. I generally now step back, and this is what we're going to get into with possible transfers. And everybody knows that I'm not being a hypocrite. I hate talking about transfers. Don't see the point of it until they've signed. However, tonight we will spend a few minutes on the supposed ones that we're all, everyone's discussing. So, Hillsy, do you enjoy podcasting with Fergus?
No. Look,
so, what do you do it for then?
I love the bloke to bits, but I don't normally tell him, Princess. It was the bloke that sits next to me in the season tickets in Block 7 said to me one day, I go on a podcast with a lad I know called Fergus. He said, do you fancy coming on? I said, oh, not really. It's not my thing. Anyway, they took me into it. And as we said, they were audio at first. And I thought to myself, actually, this is different to what I've seen before. I've not had to really say or listen to anything bad or too derogatory. We say it as it is on a podcast, but not anything too derogatory about our great club. And I quite enjoyed the chat. We had a great conversation. Me and Fergus often disagree, but we are the best of mates. But I must say one thing. It's lovely having someone who knows what they're doing in charge tonight. It's absolutely wonderful.
I really don't. And I'll tell you something, James and Chris would laugh at you if they heard this, that you just turned around and said in charge. It's funny actually, because obviously, as you know, that James, Chris and I were lucky enough to purchase the channel off of Craig. Although I'd been on the channel for 18 months with Craig, he felt it was time to move on and, pass it over to us. And it's just been fantastic. The boys are great. And again, we don't always agree. There's many times that, we don't agree on a certain match or something. But again, like you two, they're match-going fans. They go to the Emirates every home game. But there's something different about you two. What I love is that come what may, I think I've got this right. Every single away game you're at. Is that right?
Not every. I done 42 out of 49 last season, but that was my best ever. I've done 5 or 10 a season a few years. Trev's done lots more, and Trev's been going far more than me. But I've been really lucky with the help of Trev and a network of good friends to be able to get tickets. It's going to be more difficult, we know, with new practices and stuff going on. So I'm not expecting to do as many this year. But the ones that I've done with Trev, Dan, Terry, and all the others that we meet up, it's just brilliant. It's like going with a family. And even the ones that aren't in our group, the other groups and the other groups and the other groups, it's just one big family. It's an amazing what I remember of.
You lovely sent me loads of photos last night that we're going to go through in a moment about. I know, Trev.
I've
never seen you in a bikini before, Trevor. Honestly, I was.
Yeah, it's the green thong. It's the green thong, Trev. Sorry, I've done it by mistake.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So the thing is, let's just Trev.
He's shitting himself.
I know. Trev, talk to me. Talk to me. Eyes here, not down to him. Yeah. Eyes here.
All right, I want to kill him.
There's no green thong, don't worry. I wouldn't shock the viewers. Trev.
Yes.
Talk to me about how you started supporting the Arsenal. Now, you are 61, very young at heart. Okay.
Yeah.
You've been probably supporting Arsenal longer than me and Fergus, obviously. And we just said between us, we've got 160 years of Arsenalness. So how
Yeah.
did it start for you?
Well, I've sort of had two halves of following the Arsenal, Amanda. My first game was in December 1970 against Wolves, and I know it was because I've still got the tickets and the match programs. But and as from then, being 8 years old, I went quite regularly, and as I got older as a kid, I used to go on my own. I never missed a game at home at the Arsenal. Didn't used to go away so much in them days because every other weekend when the first team weren't at home, the reserves would be at home. So you'd go and watch the reserves play as a kid, you know. And then I had to have quite a few years off going for family reasons, kids, blah, blah, and all this. And then a few years, probably 7 or 8 years ago now, I got back. I got an opportunity to get my season ticket back, which I did, and I've hardly missed a game since. I missed a few games at the start of last season, which was very unusual, but there was other stuff going on. But since I've been going back about 7 or 8 years, I've not missed a game really. But my first game was in December 1970, Princess.
No, God, it was this one.
What's that?
The 1952 Cup final. That was your first game.
Do you know what, Fergus? I've got the ticket for that final, but I've not. Unfortunately, I wasn't there. I want
Sorry.
And remember, people are on audio, so we need to explain it, right? Yeah. So, what did you just show us? 1952. My dad would have been. My dad wouldn't have been there.
I got this book with the rewards, the Arsenal shirt, and we done the Arsenal history podcast thing 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
And the guys that do it, Andy Kelly and Mark Andrews have written loads and loads of books, and we were talking about the shirts and the Nottingham Forests donating the shirts and all the whole story, which I got wrong recently on the podcast.
Yeah,
but they said, Ferg, you'd really, really enjoy looking at this book because there's lots of pictures, not so much words. I'm a bit dyslexic, and I just went and picked an old one, and it happened to open up on the 1952 Cup final, and I thought, just by a record of guessing at how old he is, he's not 61, he's 81, that it probably would have been the 1952 Cup final. So sorry, people on audio.
That's terrible.
Do you know he can't cope because he's not hosting? He cannot cope. I'm going to mute him, Trev. I can actually do that. Probably do you know that? I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Trev, you don't. I know where you live, and I'm not going to announce that, but you do not live local to the Emirates. You travel miles and miles and miles, and this is why I think I respect someone like you in your opinion. Even if we didn't agree at times, I would always respect it because you travel so many miles away to get to the Emirates. I'm literally not far from Fergus, and it's an hour for me now, but you're hours away. Is there any one point where you think I've had enough?
No, not at all, Princess. As I said, since I've been back going regularly, it's been a great pleasure to get back into it, and I've never once fancied missing one. Some of the night games are a bit difficult to get to, and I do spend quite a bit of money on hotels for away games in the evenings. But now I'm happy doing it, and I've got to mention a Princess. I have a very understanding, gorgeous wife who never complains about my travels and my antics with Fergus at the Arsenal. She actively encourages me to go, and so no, I don't regret it at all. I love the travel. I adore the European aways. You know, I love the European away trips. So I've had some fantastic adventures. They're my favourite games. If you said to me you could only go to half a dozen games a year, it would be Tottenham away and the half a dozen European away.
Wait, Trev, talk to me about this picture then. Where is that, Trev?
Yeah, that's up in the Arctic Circle at Bodo last season. It was a very expensive trip at £11 for a pint of lager, but once you've had a couple, you tend to forget that, Princess.
Trev, St. Gallen wasn't great on that either. It was £22 for a Whopper burger.
So for people on audio, I've shown a picture of Trev at Bodo. How cold was it, Trev?
Do you know what, Princess? I've been to much colder places. It was rainy. It wasn't so bad. It wasn't freezing. We expected it to be colder, but it was very, very wet and rainy. But no, it wasn't cold. It's not too cold at all, to be honest.
I saw one of your trips actually. I remember seeing you were driving. God, it was last season in the Alps or somewhere. Which one was that?
That was leaving Milan going to St. Gallen for the FC Zurich game when the Queen died. And that was £22 for a burger. So we invested all our money into liquid assets, just stuck to lager.
Yeah. It was.
So for the people on audio, I know this is going to be a little bit hard for you because you don't know, but I'll try and explain the photos. These boys travel home and away. I mean, honestly, they do. So let's just put a couple more photos and then we'll go to some questions that we've got. So talk to me about this one, Fergus.
Final game of the season. This me and Gil Gillespie. As you see, he's of Irish descent, so he's got his Celtic and Arsenal half and half scars. I don't really like half and half scars, but that gets a slight exception. Young Theo, who's one of our listeners and meets us around Block 5 and Block 6, where we make all the noise with Capo Dan. This is, we're just singing, I don't know, Arsenal or whatever, but I feckin' love this club was the caption I put on Twitter, Instagram and everything else.
Who took that
word
picture?
Is Stuart, the Arsenal
photographer.
The Arsenal photographer.
He's been on here before. So North Bank, block what is that?
Block 5, block 6, block 7.
Right, I know where it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're a little bit passionate. Just a tad.
It does.
I think this picture just sums you two up. It just sums you two up. So where was this? Talk to the tell the viewers where this was.
Trev, go
on. That was at PSV. I think I was drunk. It was at PSV. Whenever we go to away grounds in Europe, we always go down there earlier in the day and have a wander around the stadium, take some photos. And PSV have got like this coffee shop, and you actually go into the stadium and you can get into the seats and that. And so we just sat in those seats.
Trev, hold on, back up. What, you can go into the stadiums in
I'll tell you a story on that as well. Go on, Trev.
That is, some stadiums, the security is too tough. Some stadiums you can sneak into. Other stadiums, they'll have like facilities for the public. And those seats during the game, those seats were in there, would be used for paying people to watch the game. But obviously, when the game's not on, they're open to the coffee shop, and we just went and sat out there by the pitch. I think we did a bit of live podcast and had a couple of beers. And
how we got in there was we went round and Trevor was looking, because his back was playing up, he was looking to upgrade into some of the fancy corporate seats and get bumped up into the grade 1 seats as he does. The rest of us had to go steerage in the away section with steep stairs, and don't you even start that story, Trevor. But we're walking around the stadium, and he wasn't drunk at this point because it's 11 o'clock in the morning, but we did have a late night the night before, and we've taken some pictures, got in the club shop. Trevor always buys a pin and a scarf and different things for at the away games. And then we walk around, and there's the main entrance for the media to walk in. And I come along and say, Trev, I'll take a picture of you. Just pretend you're walking in. So he starts walking up to this turnstile door, which has got Europa League media entrance, this and it's blasted all over it. And some very nice Dutch lady, older lady, but really nice and really pleasant. Good. I'm not going to try the accent. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to PSV. How can we help you? So he kept on walking in. So I just followed behind him. So we ended up standing in the media centre and we're chatting. And then the head of security came out and looked us up and down and gone, we've got no badges. And then Trevor does his usual, hello, darling, our princess. And he does his usual charming thing that he does. And we chance our arm and say to the media guys, look, this is what we do. We go, let's say, Gellen, we managed to get onto the pitch and everything else. And we said, we're just wondering, we're not going to walk on the pitch. Would you mind if we took some pictures, pitch side and stuff like that? And he went, I can't let you do that, but give us your phone and I'll go and take some pictures off you. So he took us some pictures. And then the lady said to us, keep going round. Do you want a coffee or a beer? And we went, yeah, why? And we thought in the media area. And he says, no, go round to block 4. There's an escalator. Just go up the escalator. Keep going up and turn left. And we got this escalator, turn left. And there's Philips, which is their sponsor, the Philips Electrical. They've got all their offices and their people hot desking and everything else. We walk through this corridor. And there's Van Nistelrooy winning the Champions League. They got Champions League trophies. They got pendants from Man United. All these, the history is brilliant. And then we just see like some tables, this wooden thing, table and chairs. Walk in, and this whole bar opens up. We go, oh wow! So we're thinking, she said, you can see the pitch from there. We're thinking we'll see a glass wall to see the pitch. Yeah. So we walk in, and say, coffee, anything else? And we look and go, holy crap! It was literally walk down onto those seats and you could sit there. It was for the corporate people, like the top end sponsors. But we were able to sit there, and there were some high tables, had a coffee, beer, whatever we want, took some pictures, took those pictures. Absolutely amazing experiences at the stadium. The rest of it is different, but that's different, Trev.
I just think that if you get a situation like that, I'd be like that. I would, schmooze my way in, say what you got to say. You got one life, you got one chance. You might not go back to that stadium again. So why
but
not? Good luck to you.
It's Trevor's tradition that we've now picked up, and young Dan has done it as well, Trev, that if we get to a ground early, rather than going straight in the pub and just getting on a sesh, we can do that in good time. Let's go and have a look around the ground, experience it, and get the smell of the burgers. Yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely loved it.
So this picture's of interest to me a little bit. Where did you meet Aaron Ramsdale's dad?
Oh, where was it? I can't remember. Where were we, Ferg, when that was taken, mate?
Do you not remember Dan had to stop at Fleet Services just to get a bit lighter?
Oh, Southampton away, yeah.
Does he wear that hat to every game?
Yes, yeah.
That's fabulous.
He's brilliant. Nick is absolutely brilliant. He came on our podcast very briefly. He didn't do technology. He's now done a couple of ones, and you can still see he's not great with technology. But I've messaged him a few times. He was kind enough to give me his number. I met him at a few games, and we've always had a good chat with him. He's what I like about him is he supports his son, and that's Aaron's aunt beside him, not his mum. And he follows his son and supports the team, and he engages with the fans. He could stay upstairs in the corporate stuff, but he comes down with us, and that means so much.
Yeah, no, I've heard so many fantastic things about Nick Ramsdale. I have, and I love his son, and his son's just got married. So congratulations, Aaron. And then last but not least, and this is a little bit more poignant, and this was the anniversary of Hillsborough. And I, as you know, I have a lot of Scouse mates, and I can't tell you how they raved about the Arsenal fans, how they absolutely said that they've never had respect like it. So what was it like to actually be there?
Yeah.
Trev, you go.
You know what? We'd had a good few beers before we got in there that day, Princess. We got into Liverpool early, and we got on the beers quite early. But when we got in there, like, it was obviously that it was it was a different occasion, because it's the once a year, and some fans go to Anfield and sing the songs about the 97 that we all don't want to hear, and we hope that people never sing them again. But the Arsenal fans were different that day. They had the minute silence, which Liverpool take a chance, don't they? Are the away fans going to observe the minute silence? And it was immaculately done by the Arsenal fans. I was so proud. I'm always proud to be an Arsenal fan, but that day I was so proud to be an Arsenal fan. Stood there, but because, as I always say to people, you can have different views on different situations, right? You can have different views on everything, and everyone's allowed their opinion. But everyone that goes to a game of football deserves to go home again after it. Of that, there's no different opinions, right?
No.
Everybody says you go to a game of football, you come home again. Those people didn't come home, and they deserved our respect. And we paid it. We paid it brilliantly, Princess. We really did pay our respects well. Fergus took us to a right dodgy pub afterwards, though.
Let me just carry on with that bit, because what happened was when the respect was paid. What is so sad, Trev, is that a lot of Liverpool fans were shocked that a football team gave that respect, when it should be shocked the other way that people are disgusting and singing these awful songs and not respecting the 97. May they rest in peace. And I just feel I was so proud being at home, and people were messaging me who were coming out of Anfield and saying, your fans were absolutely incredible, and now we want you to win the league. Not that they wanted City, but they never had that favourite thing. They didn't really care who won it, did they? But they were like, we want Arsenal to win it now. The respect your fans showed us. And I tell you something as well, they'll never forget that. They don't forget, as you know, they do not forget good. Many don't go there. I don't get it, Fergus. I'm
Amanda,
sorry, but
we have a banner underneath the scoreboard above us in the North Bank, and it says "Class is permanent." That says it all.
Absolutely. And and I think class is permanent with you two as well. You may act like Laurel and Hardy, but you're such good. I can't think of the words. of the club. Sorry, I've had such a bad day, a long day at work. You're such good representations for the club as fans. I love you two as fans. The passion is there. You spend bloody fortunes up and down the country. Got your season ticket at the Emirates. As I said, Trev, you're up and down on the railways the whole time and flying everywhere. And I think that I was so pleased that you had agreed to come on this podcast, because we have lots of guests, wonderful guests. I love everyone I speak to, but you are just old school Gooners. And I think for people listening that don't know who you are, definitely go and watch their podcast, guys, because they really are just like us. You know, if I met them before a game, they'd be exactly like this. If I met them after the game, they'd be on the beers drinking, you know, happy. And I think the thing is, Trev, when I sort of talk to you on Twitter, is we've lost. It's not the end of our world, is it, Trevor? We're not going to not support our team because we've lost. And I think there's a new age fan or a fan that wants to be seen. Oh, hello.
Mother-in-law.
It's for you. There's a new age fan that want clicks and likes and stuff like that more than supporting the club. And I fall for it occasionally. I start, you know, and I go for people like that, because I truly believe that you support the club through good and bad. Of course, we're going to moan, Trev and Fergus. We do moan, you know, if we lose, or Newcastle away last year was so appalling that we're all so upset. But then you've got to understand that we support our boys, and you've got to support them through thick and thin. And that goes for the fact that all of us are very much pro Arteta, and we always have been. There is not many like us that from day one have supported that man, and Edu as well. So for me, I'm really pleased you're on here, and I'd like to just get to some questions as well. Carl Stark wants to know your favourite away ground and why. Fergus, I'll let you go first.
I've not seen as many as Trev. I like the older ones. I enjoyed Forest, although it wasn't it's hard to pick one in particular. Forest was just proper old school, and the noise was immense for 29,000 fans.
The loudest I've
unreal.
ever heard on the TV, ever.
I quite like Burnley, again, because it's an old sort of style ground. It's probably easier to say ones I didn't like. I don't like Man City. I find it soulless. And I found United away an awful ground.
Yes,
there's no room in the seats. I know we don't really sit, but even and the roof is perspex. We went there early in, I think it was end of August, beginning of September this season.
Carl saying pick one.
Roasting hot. Pick one up. I don't know, Carl. I couldn't pick an away ground. It's so difficult. They're all so different.
Right, Fergus, if you can't pick one, Trev, can you pick one?
Yeah, I love Newcastle away with the Princess. I love the trip up to Newcastle. I love the I Cup 7 flights of stairs. I love the atmosphere in the town after the game, win, lose or draw. So my very favourite away in this country is definitely Newcastle. My least favourite is probably similar to Fergus. I'm not keen on going to Old Trafford. It needs work doing on it. So that I don't miss that place at all. If you want me to answer Europe as well, by far the best stadium for atmosphere and looking at I've been to in Europe is Real Madrid, right? Real Madrid is just stunning, and they're doing work on it now. I can't wait to go back and see what they've done. But yeah, Real Madrid is my favourite in Europe.
That's interesting. Trev, when I went to United, it was 1990, but I was in the executives. It wasn't the same. The first time I actually went to Old Trafford and stayed, I say sat, we don't sit, stood with the Arsenal fans, I was gobsmacked at how bad the stadium really is. On TV, it looks incredible. The noise is incredible. I looked around and I was like, this is weird. I don't feel like I'm Old Trafford. The atmosphere wasn't great. It is old. Now, the reason I'm putting that comment up, because Barnaby Jones is a season ticket holder at United, and he's saying Old Trafford is rotting, in all honesty. I actually agree. I think it's a fallacy. I think the TV companies do something to make it look amazing, because it really isn't. And the atmosphere at Anfield is such a fallacy. It's such a myth. on Champions League nights, absolutely rocks the place for 90 minutes. I've been there 5 times, and 5 times they go silent. Twice we've caused them to start singing and doing. So, and I actually think that the Emirates now, in the last 2 years, is one of the best places for atmosphere. And someone I know works at the Emirates who's not an Arsenal fan, and he was even shocked because he thought I exaggerated it. I said, "Oh no, listen,
And
we go 1-0 down, we're cheering our players back." I said, "You've never heard anything like it, and the sound is so much better now."
Two points on there, Amanda. The first one, Old Trafford has 50% more capacity than the Emirates, yet it's in half the footprint of the Emirates. So that's how much you got. Another 15,000 fans squeezed into probably the footprint's half the size of the Emirates. And the thing about the atmosphere at the Emirates over the last 2 seasons has been greatly helped by the Ashburton Army and also other pockets that have grown up and more. And I think the churn of fans with COVID and so on. But the really shameful thing is there's forces within Arsenal Football Club that want the Ashburton Army disbanded and gone. And I know I won't give names and stuff like that, but people need to be careful and make sure we back the Ashburton Army in everything they do.
I love the Ashburton Army. I love everything. I don't like the drum, I'm afraid. I think it ruins the
he
atmosphere.
can't drum. He's got no rhythm. He's got my rhythm, like an epileptic on steroids.
Fergus. If he had the rhythm of the songs, I'd love it. But it ruins the songs. It's so confusing what you're listening to, and that's my only thing with the drum. But I'm not going into it because the boys would be telling me off by now. Right. So a lot of the things that I hate talking about are transfer speculations. However, I think something like this question. What are your thoughts on the Timber, Rice and Havertz coming to the club? So I did promise that we would go into this, but me and Trevor are a little bit like until they're signed. Look, it looks like Havertz might have signed, but we don't know about it yet. I've heard rumblings. Trev, look, if we get them all, great signings.
Yeah, for me to answer that question, it's quite simple for me to do it. Timber, I don't know a lot about, so I trust my manager there. If Arteta wants him and Edu wants him, then I trust them. Declan Rice, I've admired as a player ever since I first saw him play for West Ham. I thought he was different gravy, and I've always said I'd love to see him play for the Arsenal. Whether he comes to us or not, who knows? But I sincerely hope we get him because he's a quality player now and in the future. Havertz is slightly different. Once again, I'm going to have to trust my manager, Princess, because if you look at Havertz's goal-scoring record per game he's played at Chelsea, it's poor, to be honest. You know, he's not done anything at Chelsea that makes me think, I wish we'd sign him at the Arsenal. You know, so once again, I've got to trust the manager and hope that he's right and I'm wrong, which he normally is, in fairness, to be honest, Princess.
Well, I'm like that. Okay, I have seen everyone gobsmacked that he's going, signed, whatever for Havertz. But I will say this to both of you, and I say this to everybody. We don't know. We can't judge until he puts that jersey on and crosses that white line. Let's judge him then. Everyone had a meltdown about Ramsdale. Everyone had a meltdown about Jorginho. I'm quite happy with both of them, thank you. Now, I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be world class. I'm not saying anything. But maybe he's being played out of position at Chelsea. I don't know. But I'm like you, Trev. Are you like this, Ferg? Do you trust Arteta?
I trust Arteta probably impeccably. Less so Edu. I think Arteta and Richard Garlick and some of the other management team are doing a lot more of the work than Edu is doing. Just from some murmurings and stuff I hear. Edu, listen, I'm not slagging the guy off. I think the overall team, including Edu, are doing fantastic. And you just cited Ramsdale, you can Ben White, you got Jorginho, you got Jesus, you got Zinchenko, all players on the fringe. And nobody would say, they were top class players, but they come to the Arsenal and Mikel Arteta and his coaching team have made them top class players. And with Havertz came over from Germany where he was ripping up the league. And I don't profess to be any expert on this whatsoever, but it's just my observation over the last few weeks. He came over ripping up the Bundesliga for Bayer Leverkusen. He then joined Chelsea in the middle of COVID. No family, no friends probably able to come over because all the travel bans and everything else. So if he had a bad day at the office, he went home and he sat in a flat maybe with his girlfriend, maybe not. I don't know what his home situation is. But he sat in the flat and stewed in his own, and he went back into training the next day. Chelsea has been a circus of a club over the last few years. They had the Abramovich issue. They've all with the Ukraine and then the Russian and all this sort of stuff going on. And then they bring in Tom Bowley, who's even more a bigger circus, spending £600 million, and then 3-4 managers. I don't think he's been played correctly. A lot of people, the experts say he hasn't been played correctly. And I just hope, like what Trevor said, I trust Arteta. I trust Arteta to get the best out of any player who's willing to be open enough to listen to change and listen to the tactics and stuff like that that Arteta wants to put together, because he plays a completely different type of football than he will have played in Germany or there.
So going back to that, you said about Edu. Carl Stark says, do you trust Edu to get our summer business done? So are you saying yes or no? It's yes or no, Fergus?
He'll get it done, but I don't think it's all down to him. I think it's down more to Garlic.
See what I mean, Princess? He doesn't understand. She kindly asks yes or no, and you have to waffle on, Ferg.
He can't. He just can't. Trev, so you trust him? Because I do.
Yes.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
Thank you for your questions. I'm gonna come to a lot more questions soon. So boys, I've got a question that I'm quite interested in. How did you two meet? You sort of said at the beginning, but was it via somebody or was it over social media?
I went to a care home and saw this guy here, and he was sitting there dribbling. And oh God, Trev, you go. You got the story.
Well, it was bad luck, really, Princess. To be honest, it was. As I said,
Trev. Before you answered, I'll just ask Amanda one question, and then you say your answer. How long do you reckon we've known each other?
I'd probably say only about 5 or 6 years, but I might be way out.
Okay, go on, Trev. Carry on.
I think it is about that. It seems like about 106, but it is about 5 or 6. But Johnny asked me to go on a podcast. I did a bit of audio with Fergus, and then of course we started meeting up, and in no time at all, we grew to be really good friends.
Yeah.
He's got long pockets and short arms when it comes to buying a beer. But apart from that, Princess, he's a great bloke and a great friend, and I very much enjoy his company. Because do you know what? Like we're doing now, when Fergus and me are in company, we laugh, right?
Yeah.
And when I go to football, I want to be happy and I want to laugh, and that's what we do. And we both like a beer or 5 or no 2 beers. 2 beers.
I'm less on the beer now, Trevor. I've been a good boy.
So Karen Russell says, and this is what I believe, whoever we sign when they wear the red and white, they will get my full support.
Yes.
And we have many people like this in our chat room, which is lovely. Heath, welcome to the show. It's not Edu, it's those holding the purse strings. It's going to be an interesting week, I can tell you that. Right, let me go to a few more questions that I've starred for everybody. Again from Carl, thank you for your questions. Favourite atmosphere this season, Trev?
Well, the loudest atmosphere, we mentioned it earlier, was Forest. Yeah. Those 26,000 fans at Forest shouted them to victory against us. I think the best atmosphere in an away game. Oh, blimey! Now, see, the trouble is my memory's not as good as it was, Princess. Now I'm 31. I did once again. I enjoyed Newcastle away for the atmosphere, because we were long overdue a performance there. We had 2 or 3 bad performances, and we went there full of doubts, and we came away with a fantastic win from Newcastle when our fans were brilliant. So I'm going to say Newcastle again. Sounds boring, but I am.
Okay. Fergus, what's your best one at home?
Oh, best one at home. As you said, the whole season been fantastic, but you got to say Bournemouth. That goal. Yeah. It just. There was also the one when the Saliba song first came out, just after we won. That was Bournemouth away, and the following week was the home game, and the Saliba song came out, and I was there. I'm on Instagram. Stuart caught me again and put me on our Frimmy or one of those down the front of Block 5 and on Instagram. But we're going Saliba. But best at home is Bournemouth, definitely by far.
I think that moment when he scored was electric. It was the most incredible moment, and it went on for days and days, didn't it? We felt amazing. He hasn't got a question, but he wants to know, Albert JTV, who are those two gorgeous-looking men on the channel? PG, you were obviously amazing as well. See how I came last? Did you see that? Smash the like button, people. Please, actually, I haven't mentioned this. Please press like. There's quite a few of you watching, so I expect those likes. Please subscribe. We've got lots of great shows coming up through the summer and obviously into the season. I think most people's game's going to be Bournemouth. Tell me in the chat room what your favourite game was, because it's. I think there's probably many other atmospheres that we've all forgotten. To be honest, you can't remember every game. I think most of the games have been brilliant atmosphere. A little bit flat towards the end, maybe. The only away game I did this year that I could actually stand with the fans was West Ham away, and it wasn't.
That was not great.
It was so poor, and it felt like the old times because people were arguing around me, and it wasn't nice.
The stadium doesn't allow for it either, with the gap between the fans. So the upper and the lower.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I just think it's been generally so good. Okay, so I think mine would be Reece Nelson. Sultan Murad Han, welcome back to the show. Question for Fergus or Trev. Well, it's going to be for both of you. What was your favourite Arsenal moment?
Go on, Ferg.
Double over Spurs.
Moment.
Yeah, with beating Spurs. Doesn't matter. Beating Spurs at White Hart Lane after the season before, like at 63 minutes, half of us had decided to go home because it just was horrible. And that next season to go in and just watch them, they were just crying salty tears. It was absolutely beautiful.
Me, Princess, in my lifetime watching Arsenal, I have to toss a coin because Charlie George scoring in 71 in the cup final.
I went this season, Hillsy. Sorry. No. Right. Go on. You go general.
No, this season. Oh my lordy! Now you're asking. You can't go past Reece Nelson. We've said about Bournemouth, haven't we? Yeah. You know, it wasn't just the goal in the last minute. I was just over the moon for Reece because he don't get much game time, and he just came on and took his chance. I was over the moon for the boy. Yeah, but you can't go past Bournemouth. You can't do it.
No. Okay. I mean, obviously, the moment wouldn't be that. I know everyone knows what my moment is, but it's really interesting, isn't it? I think even though we didn't win the league, and even though we were just short, that moment we will never forget. Wherever you were in the world, okay, wherever you were, whatever time of day you were watching that. If this was 3 a.m. and you were, say, in Australia, you'd have woken up the street. Because I tell you now, if I was 3 a.m. watching that, I couldn't have kept quiet. Could you?
What? No. The Nelson goal?
Yeah, you just couldn't keep quiet. Wherever you were, could you?
No,
you just couldn't.
No, it actually could become an iconic moment. It was that good. It was bloody stressful, wasn't it? Really, but the actual ball in the net, brilliant.
But Trev, I think it was a later kickoff, and it was similar to the Wolves one that was rescheduled because of COVID the season before, and that ended up being a midweek late game, and we scored a late winner 1-0 against Wolves at home. Like we won at home, and it just meant that everyone piled out of the stadium, partied outside the stadium, and went into the pubs and carried on partying. It's just like brilliant.
See, whenever he mentions Wolves, Princess, I just can't get over the game. We were away at Wolves a few seasons ago, and we took over this hotel bar. And I had me 2 pints, and Fergus drunk the bar dry. Drunk every drop of beer in the bar.
Yeah, of course I did.
You too. You need your own show, not only a podcast. Okay, let's see if we've got any other questions. They all seem to be from one person tonight. Come on, people. Have you got questions? Carl wants to know your favourite chant. Ferg?
Well, Trevor doesn't like any of them. So, Bejesus said Paddy has to be mine for sure. Yeah. But any of the newer ones, I love the LA chant. I love the Saliba chant. I love any chant. I get the words all wrong, but I like just taking part in all of them.
Yeah. Well,
come on. You must like one, Hillsy.
Oh, yeah. It's Super Mick Arteta for me because I love the way, the passion they sing it. And we're overdue a manager that the fans love. We've struggled at the end of Wenger. We struggled, then we struggled with Emery, and now they absolutely adore Mikel Arteta. And to hear him singing his name the way they do, That does for me. We've got Super Mick Arteta. Even I sing that, you know.
I love all of them, but I'm with Fergus. I love LA, and it's taken me a while to learn the words because obviously I don't go to away games and I can't really hear every word. But Carl hates it because he thinks it's Liverpool, and I don't stop singing it when we start up. And I'll tell you something. Big up to the East Stand Upper for the last couple of games because we were so loud. At one point, we started the songs off that went round the ground. No word of a lie. East Stand Upper. Did you think you'd ever hear that?
No,
I'm
definitely not a
doubting
Highbury.
Honestly, I even said to Cole, "Oh my God, we've just started that song off," and the North Bank carried it on with us.
I think she might be pulling our leg a bit here.
I reckon the librarian was off for that week.
Posh stand upper she's in, and is it a posh stand upper you're in, Princess?
Yeah.
They don't sing up there. How can they sing when they're eating cucumber sandwiches?
No, I'm not in the posh area. I'm not in the posh area. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of football chat. Okay, so Carl wants to know thoughts on Partey potentially leaving. Will you be upset, Fergus, or not?
I think it's for the betterment of the club. My only caveat would be as long as we replace him with a better player, yeah, I've got no problem with Partey. Personally, I think Partey has 6 or 7 great games. He was great. His billing when he came in from Atletico was much better than his performance he's had for Arsenal over the last 2-3 seasons. And his injury record is a little bit suspect. Great player, but there's other stuff going on that the club don't need. Class as permanent.
Okay, so will you miss him, Hillsy?
Yeah, I'll only talk about the football, Princess.
So
I'm a little bit more reserved than my good friend Fergus. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I am. I would miss Thomas Partey greatly because when he's good, he's really, really good. And I think that if we sign the midfield players that are being mentioned, if we get lucky enough to sign those players, I think Thomas Partey becomes part of a bigger squad and gets more rest and gets, you know, and just plays his best games. When he's good, he's so good, Thomas Partey.
Yeah, I'm going to miss him. I am. Karen Russell, Trev and Fergus, when do you think Nelson and Saliba new contracts will be announced? Anyone got any?
Hang on a minute. I'm going to find my contract with Arsenal. Hang on. Yeah. He don't know. He don't know. It's ongoing. He don't know, he said. He's not answering.
Most contracts start on the 1st of July. So work it out. They're all on holidays. So I would have thought you will not hear any announcements of any players signing until re-signing their contracts until the 1st of July. And I think a lot of the transfers won't happen until then because players get their annual bonus every year for staying at the club for a full contract on the 30th of June. So Declan Rice, for example, if he's getting X amount a year, he'll get that on the 1st of July. Then he can sign a new signing on contract at the Arsenal.
I do honestly think, though, I think that Havertz will be first, then Timber, and I do believe that Rice will be next week past the 30th. Right, so just a little something, because obviously we got pre-season, haven't we? Seb Gold, welcome to the show. From New York. Good evening, all. I'm a New Yorker and will be going to the MetLife Stadium to watch our pre-season friendly versus Man U, teaching my little girl to sing Declan Rice, Rice Baby. So I hope it happens. Seb, please take loads of pictures and then I will put them on the podcast if you email them to sameoldarsenal@gmail.com. And we'd love to see them because I won't be in New York to watch them. You two, are you going out to New York?
Can't afford the ticket prices, Princess.
Yeah, no, it's fair enough. But it's lovely, isn't it, for our American Gooners that they get this chance to see our boys. I love that. I love our American fans anyway. And Seb said he will do. So, guys and girls, we will have some pictures from there and I will post them as well. Right, couple last more. Cole Stark again. Question, Declan Rice, Timber Havertz, good start, but what else do you think we need and who? Good start. I remember when that would have been it, and it'd been amazing, wouldn't it, Hillsy, to sign those 3?
It would indeed. It would indeed. If we end up with them 3, I'll be happy. But see, who do we think we need is very personal, isn't it? You know, I'm a firm believer that each club is better with a big bloke in the squad, like you know this what Haaland at Man City, like Giroud that we had. They don't play well. Giroud didn't play every game, but to be able to change the focus on the field from what we've got, because we've got a really quick front 3 or 4, haven't we? And if it ain't
Yeah.
going quite as well, to be able to bring on a big bloke that would change the focus a bit, that's what I'd like anyway. I'd like a big bulking centre forward. It's going to scare the living daylights if he needs to.
You with that, Fergus, or anyone that you can add to that?
I'm not more to add to it, but yeah, I think if you look at, there was a question which I don't know if you can come to it, but there was something about the fall off in the last 10 games of this season.
I'm coming to that question actually. Shall I put that up now?
Yeah, you can do, and it's quite pertinent to that. If you look at when Saliba got injured, which was the main factor probably, and Tomiyasu was injured, so defensively we're weaker with having Rob Holding in there, but Partey, for me, he didn't help Holding out in any way, and he went a little bit missing himself. So and that, when we're under the cosh a little bit, I just found that he wasn't. So what Melvin says about he only performs when we're on the up, that's got a bit of credence to me.
Okay. Sultan wants to know, where do you think Arsenal will finish this upcoming season if we get all the signings we are after?
Top. Come on, Sultan.
I thought you were doing that because you were going to go, who knows? I don't know.
Top. We're going to finish top. Of course we are.
What, we're going to beat the Man City machine, are we?
Anybody that thinks we're going to finish anywhere other than top ain't an Arsenal fan. I'm done with them. Done with all of them.
Trevor has spoken.
Devil's advocate, Trev. If we don't finish top because of the Man City juggernaut or something like that, and we end up in the top 4 still, and we have last 16 in the Champions League and have a cup run and win a trophy, would that be a good season for you, Trevor?
Wait a minute, Princess. Am I allowed to answer that question? Because you're in charge, my dear.
You are. As long as there's no swearing, you can answer what you want.
I never swear. Look, right. It's such a horrible debate about this top 4 business,
Yeah.
Of course you want to finish as high up the league as you can, and you want to finish in Champions League places. If we don't finish in the top 4 next season, would I be disappointed? Of course we'll be disappointed, Fergus. We'll be very disappointed. But will we still be Arsenal fans? Of course we'll still be Arsenal fans. So success for me next season, ideally, is winning a trophy. Second best is getting back into the top echelon of European football again. Thirdly is, I don't care, because I'll be an Arsenal fan through thick or thin. Always have been, always will be.
That's exactly right. And it's funny when people really have that sort of attitude like, I'm done with the club if they don't sign this one. I go,
good, see you, bye.
Bye. Thanks for
It's
coming.
Princess.
It is embarrassing. But as Heath said, on top of the world, and that's how I feel, finishing this podcast with these 2 wonderful friends of mine, my Gooner mates. I've loved this podcast. Tell everyone where you are on social media.
Hillsy, go on. You got the bigger.
Go on, Hillsy.
Listen, right, Amanda, can we take one more minute? Because I've got this story in my head to tell you, right?
Yeah, go on.
And I can't not tell you it, right? When we
he's got to land me in something here now. I know it.
When we played in Eindhoven, right?
I knew it.
Seats, right? I was in the posh seats, and Fergus was with Terry, our good friend Terry, and our good friend Dan in the Arsenal fan seats. And just after the game, I get a phone call from Terry. Trev, I think Fergus is going to have to go to hospital. He's seriously injured. So I said, all right, look, I'll head straight back to the hotel and wait for you there. Let me know. So I had straight back to the hotel, missed out on all the drinking, but I sat in the bar at the hotel for about an hour, right, drinking, and I was drunk as a skunk. And then who walked through the door? Fergus, right? Well, I think he's walking all right. I said, what's the matter with you? He said, I've hurt my wrist, right? Princess, I just couldn't stop laughing. I said, you want to go to hospital for a wrist? He said, well, it's bad, It's bad, I've never seen anything like it in my life. It doesn't sound that funny, but if there is a little video of us talking about it, which you can see on somewhere, and it's hilarious.
I have to come to an away game, don't you, with you two? Could you only like a rose amongst 2 thorns?
Bring a spare liver. And that story is factually incorrect. Yes, I did hurt my wrist. Effectively, what happened is the stairs are quite slippy, and they've got these metal rungs at the top. And I went down about 5 rows of stairs and done my coccyx in and everything. I didn't see very much of the game. The stadium, in fairness, was lethal. If we didn't score a goal, but even all the people around us were saying if we scored a goal, people got injured. 2 guys who were very drunk further behind us fell down on a couple of kids. It was a nightmare. Honestly, I was so annoyed after that game. And then this guy comes along and just looks at me and laughs.
This is what I mean about these stories.
But you know what, Trev? It was Terry who made the bigger mountain out of a molehill out of this thing. He rang you up and gone, "Oh, call 999, call 999. Fergus is dying. Get an undertaker."
You see, you started me off now, Amanda. We could have these little ditties all night. I know you've got a close, sweetheart, right?
We've got to close, but honestly,
What about the church in Liverpool? Getting into the church in Liverpool when you thought, "Oh, Christ, Fergus, you done wrong in here."
Just take control a little bit and say that we will have you back on during the season, and you can tell us all your little ditties then. But we do need to move on from the odd ditty thing.
Trev, I'll give you a call in 10 minutes. We'll carry on this.
You can carry on. Seb said, "Thank you so much, Amanda, Trev, and Fergus. Delighted to have discovered your channel." So this is the Same Old Arsenal podcast. Those two are on the Guns and Yellow Ribbon podcast. Also on Twitter, which is where I was going before I was rudely interrupted by you, though, as per usual. Hillsy, where can everyone find you?
Well, normally at the Emirates on a match day, and anywhere we're playing away, Princess.
On social media.
I'm not on Facebook. I'm on Twitter as Gooner Hillsy, and I do give an opinion on there that but I will never ever rip into our great football club badly. I couldn't do it. I couldn't live with myself. But I'm at Gooner Hillsy on Twitter, and it'll be a pleasure to chat with people.
Please go and follow him. Fergus, tell us about your podcast.
One thing you'll never find Trevor is he won't be at the bar. That is for sure. He is never at the bar.
Fergus, where can everyone find you?
At Guns and Ribbons on Twitter.
Oh my God.
Hang on.
Honestly.
It's so rude. It's so rude, Princess.
That's my mother-in-law, and it's probably going to send her.
Who has a landline ringing these days?
That's only the mother-in-law. It's the only reason I pay £20 a month for a landline.
On audio, you got Guns and Yellow Ribbons normally go about 7ish on a Monday night. Is that what you normally do?
Oh, hang on 1 second.
What's he doing?
I don't know.
Yeah, Princess. We go out on a Monday night, normally at 7 o'clock. We've had a few weeks off, but we'll be back shortly with a couple of little specials we've got planned. And I won't be rude like Fergus. My phone is on silent, my dear, and it will stay on silent during the course of your...
I can't turn my landline on silent, but what I did do is put it on speakerphone, and I was only the mother-in-law. So I'm in trouble in a minute.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I had to drive the length of Switzerland, right? I had to drive from northern Italy, the whole length of Switzerland, with him in the car, nag. Give me my mother-in-law one side and the missus the other side any day. I'm telling you.
And Catherine Jenkins in the middle, eh?
Right, look at this. Guns and Yellow Ribbons is great, Steve. I love the fact that people are supporting you on this podcast. Right, everyone. So coming up, the next show is Wednesday evening. I'm back. I wasn't supposed to be doing this show, but unfortunately our lovely Christopher is abroad. So James is hosting. It's called One In, One Out, One Bangs. We're doing it every Wednesday through the summer. I'm not. I'm just on this one to help out. This is Christopher's show. We've got Captain Cook hosting. We've got Danny from the Bergkamp Wonderland. We've got LL Cool J James, they're all friends of our podcast, and they're going to be on Wednesday night discussing this. So come back and join us 7:30 Wednesday. Then I'm having a break next weekend, and then the weekend after I'll be back on the Sunday evening. I've got a couple of great girls coming on. I'm doing a Gooner Girl podcast. I haven't done one of those for a long time. So everybody in the chat room, thank you so much for joining us. Hillsy and Fergus, if I ever can control you, then you are definitely welcome back. Okay.
Thank you, Princess.
I hope you've enjoyed it.
I've got to now make up to the mother-in-law. Oh, Jesus.
Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Enjoy the rest of Monday. Be nice. Be well. be happy, and let's all say up the Arsenal. Good night,
Up the
everyone.
Arsenal.
Up the Arsenal. Always Arsenal. That's especially for my mum. Good night.